is Frederic Pinsonneault. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Eastern Canada.
Hi, I'm Isaac Markowitz, and I'm the Ambassador for Aspirational Audio at AudioQuest.
Hi, my name is Chris Volk, and I'm the Sales Director for the Eastern region with GoldenEar.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to be with me. I super appreciate it. And we're really looking forward to hearing more from you during our Music Matters keynote. First, I'm going to start with Fred. Fred, can you tell me a little bit about your background in the industry and kind of how you landed in the AudioQuest GoldenEar family?
Sure. It's kind of interesting. I did my bachelor's in filmmaking, actually. So I've always been an avid movie buff and interested in music as well. So I ended up just working retail in a hi-fi store just to pay the bills. And then joined the industry working for Lundbrook, which is a Canadian distributor. They own PSV and NAD, and they were the AudioQuest distributor for Canada. So after several years, we parted ways, and then I became the regional manager for Eastern Canada almost 8 years ago. And then AudioQuest with the Quest Group acquired GoldenEar last year. So on top of selling cables, now I sell wonderful speakers.
Awesome. That's a great synopsis of some, I think, somewhat, common entry into the industry is starting with a passion that is related to it and then following that pathway in. Isaac, I think you've mentioned you've had a couple of different stepping stones along the way as well. How did you get involved in the AV world?
In hindsight, it seems almost inevitable if you know my dad, who's a big hi-fi nerd. I'm also a classically trained musician. I picked up the piano and violin at 7 and played a series of instruments and successfully failed my way through music until I realized I was not going to be a professional musician, and got a degree in cognitive neuroscience at Texas A&M. So I was really fascinated by, how these different things make us feel, including music. I think like a lot of people, I graduated into the Great Recession, and so it made some of my aspirations for science challenging. And I survived through restaurants. And one day I came in with some money that I'd saved up from working really hard at restaurants to buy a piece of stereo gear to bring myself a little bit of satisfaction. And that company, Best Buy, offered me a job on the spot based on some of the questions I had asked. It was miraculous. And I had the privilege of working for them for a number of years, became a retail manager, opened some stores for them, trained a couple thousand salespeople through that organization. And Fred knows that I've been long a fan of AudioQuest, trying to build crazy hi-fi. And I had the privilege of joining just about 3.5 years ago, and my role has evolved since then.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And I love that your background has some of the focus on the scientific aspect of how music impacts us and how sound impacts us, and what an incredibly valuable piece of experience for you to bring to your company and to partners like us. So thanks for being here. Chris, a little bit about you, your background, how we snatched you up into the AV world.
Well, like a lot of people in this industry, I was afflicted at a very young age by my father in the mid 70s. It started with a hand-me-down receiver and a pair of Fisher speakers with a JVC turntable. And I've been building that system now since 1979 is when I got my first system. Through college, I worked retail at Circuit City for a few years. After I got out of college, we were in a bit of a recession there in the mid 90s. Was having trouble finding a job and ended up moving to Illinois to work for a loudspeaker company in Illinois, and did that for a few years. Ended up following that company to Pennsylvania for a couple more years. Changed companies in 2005 and went to another loudspeaker manufacturer in 2005, and did that up until 2017 when I came on board with GoldenEar technology, and now with the guys at the Quest Group as well, since being acquired by AudioQuest last year. And it's been absolutely fantastic. At the end of the day, there's honestly nothing I'd rather do than sit down and lay a needle on a piece of vinyl and close my eyes and go somewhere.
That transformational and transportational aspect of what we do is something that's been a common theme in a lot of these conversations I'm having. And I think that's something that we can all rally around regardless of what is actually spinning on the table. So. Isaac, what is one audio product that you absolutely can't go without?
Oh my goodness. Well, these days, so most of my function as the ambassador for aspirational audio is to work with high-end manufacturers. So I think like Chris here, I have spent the better part of my entire life, my first stereo, something like 8 years old. I'm almost 37. So for 30 years perspective, I've been trading up And I recently acquired CH Precision line stage and amplifier, and it's changed my life. It has changed how I evaluate other products. It has changed how I evaluate our own products. It's given me tremendous appreciation for Dragon and what we do. Yes, it's true that some of the products that we make at the upper end of our portfolio in a vacuum seem expensive, and objectively, they do cost a lot of dollars. But when you consider that some of these products get paired with components that require multiple boxes, and each box is $40,000 or so, all of a sudden, spending $10,000 on power cables for $120,000 worth of boxes, $40,000 on speaker cables for speakers today that sometimes go for $550,000. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish with that. And I need my partners in the industry who have been invaluable and gracious to me to allow me to purchase some of the stuff that allows me to do my best listening. So for that, that is one of the companies that has really transformed my listening experience and the work that I can do for product development at AudioQuest.
That's awesome. Yeah. And a lot of the products, it's all about perspective. And when you look at how things are going to actually be applied in a space, and that's something that for us at Paulson's, we have such a wide range of different types of homes and offices that we're working in, and clients who value different things in their technology are looking for different types of experiences. And so within all of that, of course, becomes the unique shape and construction of the space. It comes furniture and decor and all these kinds of things, but also budget. And so that gives us an opportunity to scale projects and to make sure that the key pieces are the ones that are really getting invested in, and then you have high quality items that go alongside that. So that's awesome. Chris, what about you? What's something that you have to have in your audio setup?
Me or Fred?
Chris.
So it's going to sound cliche, but I'm going to have to go with a really nice pair of loudspeakers, because I've thoroughly learned to enjoy the image characteristic and the sense of soundstage in the presentation of an artist or a band, or somebody playing acoustic guitar slightly off center, or piano slightly off center to the back a little bit. And that experience for me is something that it's hard to replicate, and I really do enjoy a nice pair of loudspeakers. They don't have to be expensive, as long as they can do what they're supposed to do.
As long as they've got enough boom for the room, right?
Sure. For me, actually, the piece of audio I probably use the most is this little guy, little Dragonfly that we make at AudioQuest, because past year has been weird, but normally the three of us spend most time on the road and away from homes. And this is my audio. This is my hi-fi. The other one is my phone, and all my music's in there, and the streaming services are just amazing. And with my little kids, the same thing. They have a thought in their head, like, I want to listen to this. And yes, sometimes it's a cartoon soundtrack, but everything's available. But I found that the Dragonfly just brings me, I can't get away from the world except with this most of the time, and I can bring it with me, and that's really what's amazing.
Yeah, that ability to escape. I mean, over the past year or so, I think we've all needed to be able to escape without going anywhere. And so those of us who have always been, in love with audio and with music, we had the tools and the talent to help transport ourselves that way. And so I think some more people are getting into it, that because of a lack of choices to do other things, it's kind of brought us some new folks to the world of music and audio and really immersive listening. And it's been cool to kind of educate and welcome people to the space.
Yeah, I've been saying it's staying safe, but staying sane at the same time. So
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Reinvesting in mental health through re-experiencing many of the favorite artists of your youth, or in the case of parents, maybe discovering new music that they didn't expect they might enjoy, which I've heard about a few times recently.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some stuff as, for us as parents, those of us who have little ones, we get exposed to all kinds of new different things. And sometimes I'm surprised by the things that I like and I enjoy. And, Fred, you were talking about the streaming services, and, I've got the little Echo Dots all throughout my house. And for me to be able to say, hey, and I'm not going to say her name because she's right here.
Thank you for that.
I'd like to Rickroll my children today. Play Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up. And then, it's a whole new cultural introduction for my children. So, So I don't know who wants to take this. I'll start with Chris on more the GoldenEar side, and then Isaac and Fred, you two can fight it out. But can you share with me any exciting news, product updates, anything? First of all, Chris, from the GoldenEar side, is there anything you can share with us that's new from GoldenEar?
As far as some of the new things that are coming, as much as I would like to be able to share that, unfortunately, there are people that aren't quite in view of this that would probably kill me if I did.
I don't want that. So
But
please,
what I can say is that the BRX, which is our bookshelf reference X loudspeaker that we started shipping early last year, has been doing exceptionally well. And we are very pleased to announce that the review from the Absolute Sound will be dropping in the April issue that we should see probably around the second week of March or so. And it's an absolute fantastic review that anybody that's been looking at or considering the BRX that hasn't quite made up their mind yet, if the review coming out in the Absolute Sound doesn't get them to pull the trigger and jump off the fence, I don't think anything will. But I can say there are some really cool things going on behind the scenes that we should start to see some new products and some fresh things this year, a little bit later in the year. COVID, unfortunately, has slowed a lot of that down from an engineering standpoint and a design standpoint, but it is still going on. It's just slowed down, and we're not going to see some of the things that we wanted to see, unfortunately, for a few months later than we originally anticipated.
Yeah, obviously industry-wide, worldwide, we're seeing delays and some pushbacks and things like that. And that's okay. You're worth the wait, and we're excited for it. So Fred, Isaac, anything to share more on the AudioQuest side?
Of course, one of the biggest launch in probably a decade was our new HDMI family. So we launched a 48 gigabit capable line late last year. And it was just not one cable. We revamped the entire line from bottom to top. Reused a lot of the name because the branding were important and people were familiar with them, but now we're offering a 48 version of the Pearl, the Forest, the Cinnamon. But we also re-examined the top and really did an all-out assault to the performance that HDMI can do. And we have new mythical creatures, which are models that are usually reserved for high-end speaker cable or power cords, but now we have a Thunderbird, Firebird, and Dragon even HDMI cables available. And I'm really excited for those to ship. But the entry-level models have been shipping since late last year, a little before Thanksgiving, and we can't keep them in stock. They're so popular. The demand has been incredible. Obviously, all the new TVs, game consoles have really brought the excitement, and we were excited to bring this because it gave us an excuse to do better than we ever did before.
Awesome. Anything to add, Isaac?
Sure. So I have to be careful. I have the unique privilege of sitting in product development for both brands, for AudioQuest and for GoldenEar. So to Chris's point, all of that stuff is cogent, and I have to be careful. That being said, Fred brought up an extremely important point. And the reason that I like working with the high end isn't because it's unobtainium, but to Fred's point, because we learn so much. And there is a lot of technology that we are getting ready to start trickling down to more affordable price points. And it's something for the AudioQuest fan to keep an eye out for coming months, for coming years. But one of the hallmarks of what we do at every opportunity is to iterate. So if we can make something better, we're going to make it better. And that really applies more often to the affordable price points than to the unaffordable price points as we get to, again, trickle down some of that technology. So, well, I know that's vague, but I'm really excited about the future and some of the things that you're going to get to see, and getting back to products that are super affordable, that blow away products that used to be unaffordable. That's a lot of fun.
You know, accessibility is such a big piece of the conversation, that there's so many incredible pieces of technology in our industry, and some of them either, you know, may be unattainable for people in certain situations, but I think there's also a perception of some things that are unattainable based on, you know, just the brands being fabulous at promoting themselves and having a certain brand image. We find that with some of the you know, larger companies, or the ones that tend to be a higher price point for their products. And then as they start to move kind of down the budgetary line and present things that are at different levels, we have to educate about that, and we have to share what's available. And so having someone like you, specifically Isaac, who's in the middle of those conversations and then can kind of translate to us in the dealer side is really invaluable. So I'm excited about that. And I also want to mention, one thing on Fred's side, as a marketing person, I have to say, AudioQuest does just about the best job ever on naming things. So I love flipping through the catalog, even though I have no concept of what any of these things do. I'm like, oh, Thunderbird. I love that.
Yeah, I agree. It is really cool.
Yeah, he's a visionary with naming things and has done an incredible job over the years of exciting people with names that mean something to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it might not seem like something that's important, but it does a lot to communicate your brand, that the personality behind it, and it's a really cool thing. So is there anything, Chris, that you'll be sharing about in your keynote that you'd like to give us a little sneak peek of?
Mainly what the plan, at least at this point, is to go over some of the, obviously the product heritage of the company, kind of how we got to where we are, and some of the technology that's built into GoldenEar products that provides a level of performance that just can't be had in a given price point. And hopefully, with any luck at all, we'll have some time to answer some questions as well, because I'm sure there'll be some folks on that'll have some questions or things of that nature.
Absolutely. And I appreciate all of you being so flexible and open, and especially since we can't be in person together, we're going to do the best we can and have a good time on the virtual platform. Fred, Isaac, anything to add to what we'll be hearing from you during the keynote?
Yeah, I think we're really excited to give a teaser of some of the technology that we offer at AudioQuest. One of the things we'll get to demonstrate is why it is that all of these things are interrelated. As much technology goes into the Pearl 48 that Fred mentioned a few minutes ago as goes into the Dragon 48. The reason that Dragon's more expensive is because of the materials. That's it. So getting to share with you, to your point, the accessibility, why some of the affordable stuff that we offer at GoldenEar, at AudioQuest, are so impressive.
I love it.
And I'll be spending a bit more time on HDMI 48. We want to explain the differences and why you should care about a 48 cable, even if you might not have the latest console. Isaac and I were the lucky few that got an Xbox, but a lot of people didn't. But even on legacy products, you get an improvement because of all the other stuff we did beside 48 to the new lineup.
I think that's important to understand as well, is that, we're starting like in Paulson's, and over the past year, we've got our first 8K TVs rolling in. We've got 8K cables. We've got, people are hearing these buzzwords like 8K and they're hearing more about Dolby Atmos and wondering about what that's all about. And so we're able to take some of those buzzwords and those popular phrases and help people understand that it's not like you have to wipe the slate clean and start with something brand new, that a lot of these products have technology that is retrofitting and also future proofing. And that's such a exciting part of investing in something new.
Right.
So, well, this was such a pleasure. You guys are all wonderful, and I super appreciate you taking the time. And we're really excited for your keynote next week and looking forward to it.
Thank you for taking the time as well and getting everything done and putting this together.
Absolutely.